end after Dr. Suchitra's talk. Thank you very much. We now request you to start.
Yeah, can you allow me to share the slides, please? Yeah.
Yes.
I think my time starts now. Uh, I first of all like to thank IJPP team and all the organizing team for giving me this opportunity. It's my honor. And I will start my talk by paying homage to our great personality in IAP, Dr. A. Parthasarthi. I am supposed to talk on digital revolution in healthcare. As we know that digital revolution is impacting almost everything like economy, innovation, science, education, health, governance, and lifestyle. It started in 1980 with the advent of internet and mobile devices and social networking. It has changed the way we communicate, the way we learn, the way we practice. Sky is the limit. To stay competitive, we have to invest in digital infrastructure, and IAP has already started doing it. Disadvantages can be, of course, privacy, security, digital manipulations, complexity, and social disconnect. That, of course, we can take care if we are vigilant. Now, what is health tech? We have electronic medical records, patient information system with patient empowerment, artificial intelligence device to aid diagnosis, and resource management and communication system. And thereby, we empower the patients, reduce the health expenditure. Remote consultation is possible through teleconsultation. We have mobile wearable devices. And of course, the most important part is artificial intelligence. And what is artificial intelligence? There we collect the data. Data is stored in database in servers. Then data processing occurs. Thereby, predictive signals are generated. And that's how we get the actionable insight. And usually, artificial intelligence is based on pattern detection. Large patterns, better the artificial intelligence. And then we will be able to extrapolate and predict the capability of what we can do. So artificial intelligence is definitely better than human beings in knowledge-based disciplines. So do we need doctors? Yes, of course. A human expert to exercise judgment on machine results are very important. And the confidence of an empathetic expert human being is very important for we, the social animals. Do doctors need the machines? Yes. Together with the machines, they will be able to diagnose better and faster, and patient health outcomes will improve. And so the artificial intelligence has been used by IAP in recent past, and now also we are using it in 4 areas of healthcare, that is diagnostics, monitoring, support tools for the doctor, and public health governance. And by this, we will be able to do the diagnostic tests faster and cheaper. We'll have variable range of wearable devices for monitoring. For example, if you connect this wearable device to an artificial intelligence on the internet, we could listen to the lung sounds or other symptoms and alert us as soon as the symptoms appear before the disease worsens. And so, diagnostic and monitoring, IAP has planned to have a partnership with National Cancer Institute Biobank of IIT Madras, initially for cancer diagnostics and subsequently extended across the genetic spectrums of diagnostics and predictive genomics. And also, we are also planning Smart 2.0 Smart Clinic. This will definitely increasingly based on artificial intelligence, and this diagnostic support system will help pediatricians diagnose better at the point of care. And that's how we have joined hands with Wolters Kluwer's up-to-date 5-minute consult. And of course, IAP is already working with global leaders in the point of care diagnostic support systems. And we have also tried to incorporate natural language dictation, which will revolutionize the way doctors use computers, because at present, whatever we have to type and we lose the eye contact. But when we use this Google natural language or Google Assist or Siri, definitely it will help us in translating the language, and it will help us in developing better rapport with the patients. And then how we have applied it to clinical informatics. There we have improved quality through more timely, more complete, and better organized information delivery for the better healthcare provider. And it will be used with piping of standard treatment guidelines and thereby reducing the practice variation. And it will facilitate research, education, quality improvement, and outcomes. It will be linked with the data. Thereby, we can have an insurance product. If you have got enough data, insurance companies can come out with better products. Like, for example, diagnosing cancer or picking the cancer early, or you give therapy to the cancer patient is very costly. It's in lakhs. But if there are 1 million patients who are going to get insurance once the insurance product is declared and pay 100 rupees each, it will make the diagnosis and therapy of cancer very easy and very affordable. And it will definitely provide statistical power. Thereby, we will have lots of our epidemiological data, and we will be able to do clinical research. So large-scale EMR and precision data feeding will lead to predictive personalized healthcare patterns that will show up on special incidents. As Indian doctors increasingly start using EMR systems, National EMR department enables the deep and large epidemiology data, which we can use by using artificial intelligence engines to find out amazing new applications for the Indians. So IAP in discussion with NSDL is going to create a national EMR repository, and national EMR repositories and associated healthcare use creates the scaled up data which will be needed for artificial intelligence engines to build Indian epidemiology. So we are already in talk with them. What is the future of pediatrics? We have the digital medicine where by just scanning we'll be able to pick up so many diseases. And training and research also, you can look at the classroom which will look like on the screen. Then we'll have libraries in future, the content creation in the future. Maybe there is a digital doctor where we will be like in ICU, I see you, but then doctors are not present physically in the ICU, but they are looking at the screens to look at the patient and look at the reports and whatever, and then accordingly they guide the robo or maybe the doctor who is present with the patient. Then what are the rise of machines? In 1950s, and this is global data, 1950s to 1970s, there was use of artificial intelligence for creating a program that can sense, reason, act, and adapt. Then in 1990s to 210, there was machine learning, whereby algorithms whose performance improve as they are exposed to more and more data, as more and more patterns develop. And then, of course, now we are going to lead to deep learning, whereby there will be a subset of machines learning in which multi-layered neural networks learn from vast amount of data. Then this technological advance will be in the forms of waves. The first wave, that is what we are facing today, is 2015 to 2025, where we already started using technology for practice automation, point of care diagnostics, academics. We have DIP platform where we have online discussion forums and case presentations. And there will be a great the development of digital data generation. And in the second wave, what I'm foreseeing from 2025 to 2035, treatment will be driven by artificial intelligence. A new generation of therapies will be coming up, and complete health detail of every child online and adequate technology-based reference will be there. So by 2030, hospitals may be a thing of past. And in wave 2035 onwards, of course, autonomous machines that will perform almost all the human specialists what they do today. But of course, a pediatrician is definitely required to oversee it and to approve what is being done. So this will be the reality from 2035 onwards, making the treatment more easily available and affordable. So to stay relevant, of course, every 10 years we'll have to relearn and re-innovate us. Then something about disruptive technology in medicine. Now we are practicing skills on virtual stimulation. We know that there is a virtual mannequins which are available where they can talk and then guide you as to what you are wrong and what you are right. Then there can be individually tailored prosthetics which will be available. And then, of course, the FDA has given green light to hospital robo who will be taking care of your rounds in the hospital. And there is some very good innovation in facial recognition by which more than 1,000 criminals, fugitives, persons of interest, or missing persons have been identified. And how they work, it is like face to gene. Actual photo will be scanned and only de-identified facial data will be analyzed, and then it will be applied to detect the face and then localize the facial feature points and estimate the local properties. And then it will be put on the patients available as deep gestalt, and they will identify what are the syndromes which are dealing with. So it will be very important in those cases of genetic disorders, chromosomal disorders, so many other genetic disorders. Areas where digital technology has made an impact in healthcare, of course, we know it is the EMR records. Then we have telemedicine and teleconsultation, which has made very easy for us during COVID time. And then we have that NSDL e-governance initiative, which I just described now. And then, of course, I like to show this video to you all. It's just a 2-minute video. the modern clinic which we'll have in future. And then of course we have specialized services on IAP, the NSDL platform, like for nutrition assessment, behavior and neurodevelopment, catch the pediatric cancer early and spot inborn errors of immunity. And we will have the such type of, say, CAP Medic, a device to guide patients on the correct use of metered dose inhalers and to track the lung functions at home. Then we'll have PulmoScan, a smart portable airway assessment device that performs spirometry on tidal breathing on patients. And then we can have an intelligent stethoscope where it will detect PCG and ECG functions, which gives cardiac insight at the point of care. And we will have improved lines of communication. Then we'll have online education, which is already going on. And of course, we have certificate courses and live classes, which are being planned on Indian College of Pediatrics using Digital Center of Excellence, where I am going to be guiding the IAP committee. And of course, I have been very well supported by my national president, Dr. Piyush Bhai, and my secretary, Dr. Basav Raj. And we can have many e-pedicons, pediweeks, point of care technologies for every pediatric clinics under IAP Smart Clinic 2.0. And of course, in conclude, overall digital technology has transformed healthcare, and this transformation is expected to continue in the years to come. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, blockchain, healthcare mobile apps, wearable mobile apps, and many other such advancements will change the future of healthcare. And as long as healthcare organizations and healthcare professionals keep their minds open and create the required infrastructure and systems, there is no saying how far digital technology can go in healthcare. And to take home message, digitization of office practice is an evolution and not a disruption. Because of COVID-19, moving into digital age very quickly is important and better to adopt them rather than to be left behind. And digitization in office practice is a new normal, and we can take pledge to get used to it before it is declared compulsory. And investment in digitization is worth the effort. And if you look at the statistics of some small survey, we had asked some PGs as to what they like and what they don't like in different parts of India. And I will take you those questions. Do you think libraries are necessary with information available at fingertips? Majority said no. Should we have teaching modules for each subject? Majority said yes. Should we have digitized classroom? Majority said yes. Are you aware of the development of artificial intelligence? Majority said yes. And have you heard about deep learning? Again, majority were knowing about it. And what about medical apps useful? Again, they were knowing. Can technology replace skillful specialists? No. Majority of them said, yes, you will be required along with this. And are the labs overtaking our clinical skills? Yes, many of them, they felt a little worried about that. And this is the one which was seen in olden era, the doctor in the olden era. And now the doctor now will be looking at your laptops and other mobile apps and wearable apps, and then sitting at home will be diagnosing and treating the patient. So a doctor said whether it is required or not. Though we will be digitizing ourselves totally, a doctor's touch is very important. A touch can smooth, comfort, and convey caring in a way words cannot. And despite the rise of scanners, robots, and other new medical technologies, the physician's hands remains one of the medicine's most valuable diagnostic tools.
Dr. Bakul, you have 2 minutes left.
This is the last slide. Life is a game in which you juggle 5 balls. The one which is work ball is rubber ball, and other all 5 are glass balls. That is family, friends, spirit, and health. If you don't manage them properly and don't do efficiently, you may break those balls. And so, have best genetic fit, strong culture and business strategy, understand and adapt with external factors, innovate, adopt best practices and be ahead of industry trends, and try to be industry leaders, survival of the fittest, be ready for the competition, be agile and diversify. Thank you very much. I was a little fast, but then I was given a limited time. So I hope that I have justified my purpose.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Bakul, for finishing on time.